I am Adam Weil, partner at White Rabbit Group. Welcome to the Pixel Perfect podcast, where we share knowledge, experiences, and motivations from creatives and entrepreneurs. All right, in this episode, Chris DuBois breaks down why so many agencies in that sub-million to maybe 3 million hit an invisible growth ceiling and what it actually takes to break through it. As the founder of Dynamic Agency OS, Chris works with agency founders who are delivering, strong work, happy clients, but their pipeline, it's, increasingly dependent on referrals, it's unpredictable, and it's mainly founder driven. So we're going to explore why tactics rarely solve a thinning pipeline, how positioning should function as the structural backbone of an agency, and really what it means to build a business that creates its own demand. So for any founders that are serious about durable growth, better margins, reducing, the dependency on luck, this is going to be a conversation for you. So Chris, welcome on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So what did I miss on that intro? Anything else before we kind of dive into some of these questions?
I enjoy carpool karaoke. Otherwise, no, I think that was a pretty good.
Dude,
I
that's
should
the
just have you follow me around. I can announce me as I walk into places.
Yeah. I think like the best Uber ride I ever had was someone that had one of those karaoke systems like hooked up to it. She had a
Yeah,
Tesla and the lighting was all tuned with the music
yeah,
and we sang all the way home.
that's
It was the
awesome.
best.
I
Yes.
imagine it would be weird if it was just you.
Yeah, yeah.
But but like having people, it'd be great. Yeah,
Karaoke is definitely a team sport. Yeah.
yeah,
All right. So I want to dive into the referral ceiling a little bit. So a lot of agency founders, who feel like their pipeline is slowing, um, but they can't always diagnose why. How do you define referral ceiling and what are the early signs that they're maybe approaching it?
yeah. I think the first way it shows up is just when you have no idea where your pipeline's coming from. It's like you got business. Like most of the agencies I work with have like they have clients. They have proven that they can deliver. They've closed business. It's just they're almost all coming in from referrals. And so when you ask them, well, where are your leads coming in 2 months from now? It's like they have no idea. It's because
Mm,
you can't really bet on referrals the same way you would bet on like a marketing system that you have in place. And granted, nothing's guaranteed, right? I don't know that people are going to click on my ad or go check out
mhm,
my inbound content, but I know that I can just crank up certain variables in order to get, if I increase the output, I'm going to get or increase the input, I'm going to get the output.
right.
With referrals, I can only ask so many people I know if they know someone else who could use our services. And if they don't, then it's it. Like we're out of luck. And so for
Right.
most of them, it just becomes this realization like they're never going to grow to the next level if they
Hmm.
don't do something else to build out that pipeline.
Hmm. Yeah. I think a lot of them resort to tactics, right? Tactical
Mhm.
fixes. I think some people maybe don't even know the difference between a tactical fix and a strategical fix. Like, how do you think about that? And what are tactical fixes that you see that are most common right now? So people can maybe self-diagnose for a second.
Yeah, I mean, people. All right, this one's. I just did a LinkedIn post, and it I think rubbed people the wrong way or
Oh, those are the
we'll see.
best.
But the all of those posts on LinkedIn that were like, hey, I got this asset, comment this to be able to get it. And
Yeah. Hmm.
then maybe you're going to get it, like, but it probably wasn't even that great of an asset. But like
Yep.
that is like the perfect example of this tactic that everyone just started doing this because they saw like, oh, that's a great way to build some
Mm,
pipeline. But like, honestly, most of the people just wanted that free asset. They were not going to be buyers in the first place. So
mm,
you're getting junk leads anyways. But then as soon as LinkedIn changed that algorithm, everything just fell apart. Right.
mm,
And so like a tactic is something where like we're at the mercy of an algorithm, of a platform, of
mm,
some other system where if I couldn't just completely replicate that somewhere else, like it's probably not going to work. But when we start thinking strategically, now it's
yeah.
like, okay, well, this is the bigger picture, right? This
Right.
is, we are going to say, and this is why positioning I think is so important because I can say, I want to be known as the type of company that does this. Like we stand for this. And so
Hmm.
everything that I do tactically should just come back to the strategy and it makes it very easy to decide. And so
Hmm.
simple non-agency example, because I think most people know this company, Zappos, right? They're a shoe company. and they have really good customer support. And that's how most people see them. But in reality, they're actually a customer support company that just happens to sell shoes because they actually give budget to their customer support team to go out and like blow people's minds, like make them happy, make them smile so that people
Right.
know and they talk about Zappos as this
Mhm.
great customer support thing. So no other shoe company can keep up with them if customer support is something that's important to you.
Mm.
And so it's much harder to see it in the agency space because honestly, a lot of companies don't get it right. Like we just don't do it to like this level. Most agencies are also not as large as these companies. We're generally talking, even if you're a couple thousand people, right? You're not competing with Zappos.
Sure.
But like if you can decide like we're working in manufacturing, reliability is important there. We want to be known as the most reliable agency here. Like so everything that we do should run through this filter of like, well, does this show that we're reliable? Does this
Mhm.
give like reliability to our clients? And so you're not going to pick a tactic that is shaky, right? Where you can't get the same outcome every time. Because if someone
Mhm.
sees you failing, like, well, now we're not known as the reliable one, right?
Yeah.
Compare that to like the speed. If we want to be known as the fastest, and for both of these, I probably wouldn't use these. They're just great examples. But if we're going to use something like speed, like at the second that we don't like if it takes us more than a week to get something to a client, like we've just lost all credibility with that
Mm.
client, right?
Mhm.
And so when we start like, and that's just when they've after they've started working with us. Before they start working with us, say they fill out a lead form and nobody talks to them, like nobody
Mhm.
reaches out right away. Like we're not fast. We're just
Right.
like telling people we're it's essentially what most people do, which is throw up a message on your website, say, hey,
Yeah.
this is who we are, but then you're not actually living that. And so
Yeah.
I think that's the big difference here.
Yeah. That makes so much sense. And I feel like there's like an undercurrent of like a lot of more depth to what you're saying that I want to get into, but like
Mhm.
it ties back to kind of the intro, the structural backbone of the company, right? Because like what I'm hearing you say is like it's got to everything has to like kind of map back to those values and that positioning, and then
Mhm.
everything else gets better. I love that, and I want to talk more about that, but I just want to like address a little bit more on the technical side of things because I think so many agencies are so reactive
Yeah.
and maybe that's not necessarily who you're talking to. I mean, I'd love to understand a little bit more about your perfect kind of fit agency,
Mhm.
but are there agencies that are, I know some folks that are maybe struggling a little bit small on the smaller side and they want to do cold email, they want to do the ads, they want to sponsor a newsletter, like they're throwing darts kind of in every direction. And I just feel like that's so common. They're just like, all right, we got to do something. So, do you think that's something you need to do right now in the short term to try to get those wins? Or do you feel like this is a, hey, stop what you're doing. You need to fix this right now. Oh, or how do you think about that?
Yeah. So there's a lot of variables to
Sure.
play with here. I think so. The clients that I work with that get the best results usually have already figured out how to get some clients on their own. Like they have had
Yeah.
some marketing success. It's nowhere near where they want it to be. And they're still very heavily dependent on referrals. I would say at least 60-70% referrals for their pipeline.
Okay.
And so like if the referrals went away, they would not have an actual agency. Um, the
So
they
they're
all
not
because
pressing
they've
that
already
red
good.
button like it's an emergency. They're
Right.
they're maintaining, but they know that they're not hitting their potential.
Right. And so those are probably like the best fit because they've seen it, they know what to do, they have enough data to
Right.
know, okay, well, this is how we want to show up. This is what's worked before. Let's see if we can kind of piece this together and then grow from there. With newer agencies, there's it's like there's always this challenge of like you don't even know if people want what you have. And so, yes, it is important. I still believe like you should figure out your positioning early. Like if you know what you stand for, it's going to be
Mhm.
much easier later to be able to like hold to that and just grow. But it's
Mhm.
also not the end of the world if you just try selling something to see if people are going to buy it, and then you figure out where your piece of the pie is going to fit.
Mhm.
Um, what's so like your because your positioning goes all the way back through like your values and stuff, right?
Mhm.
Like because it really does influence everything you're doing. It's not just
Right.
your marketing. It's like this is how we're going to sell to people. This is how we're going to deliver to our clients. This is how we make decisions internally. And it all roots back to like essentially your value set and how you want to be seen. And
Mm,
so even if you're a small agency and you have very strong values as a person, like you perfect. Like, oh, that's good. That's going to be your value set. And then you
right.
can just use that to build everything up from there. Now it's very easy to build the actual agency you want that doesn't feel like you're going to work and doing something different. It's just like an extension of you
Mm,
because it is like living up to your values. And then the hard part is obviously bringing in team members who say those are the same values that I want. That's why I'm
mhm,
willing to be on the team. And then finding clients who actually want to be part of that as well. Because if you choose your positioning before you choose like a niche, right? That niche might not care about how you want to be seen. If
mm,
going back to the reliability example, if I say like I am the most reliable agency, a manufacturing like company might say like that's awesome. Some
mhm,
e-commerce brand might say I don't care. So what? Right? They might actually care about the speed or just the number of creatives that I can pull out for them, like something different. And
mhm,
so even there, it's like I can choose the niche first and then figure out what am I comfortable basing my positioning on, or who would actually appreciate my positioning to make sure I can put that in front of them.
right.
So yeah, I think at some you probably have to do some trial and error with figuring out what tactics will work for me. But
Mhm,
if you know what your positioning is, like if like cold outreach is just not a thing for you, not because you're like worried about it, but because you are like opposed to it based on your value set, then like don't do it. Like you cross it off. Now we got to find something else to work, and like that is a
mm,
thing.
mhm,
Uh, one of my clients, I mean, this is an interesting one. He designs websites and really wants to be known as the fun agency,
mm,
and it's not something like you would not equate that directly to revenue, right? Like,
mm, mhm,
uh, but all of his marketing now, he's having a blast doing it. He's like
mm,
create the top of his like the masthead of his website is now like a video game and
mm,
stuff that he built, so you can go to the page and like play around as you go down. It's just like little
mm,
fun things that are like keeping him excited through this.
mm,
And he actually this morning just he closed a $27,000 project and a 5K retainer separate,
mm,
and like he's had a like a dry spell for a
mm,
while, and since he shifted his positioning, like conversations are just popping up because
mm.
some people are just tired of like stale marketing, and they're like, no, I love how much fun you're having, and
Yeah,
so like he's attracting the right people to it.
yeah. Well, it sounds very attractive, I think, for a lot of people, especially if they're feeling like their pipeline is a little bit, dry at the moment or, like you said, just
Yeah.
depending on referrals. I wanna talk about the kind of the practicality of it all because one of the things that I hear from some of the agencies, 'cause I talk to a lot of agency owners, is they don't wanna alienate their existing clientele.
Mhm.
They have some clients that are in B2B SaaS, they have other clients in real estate. I mean, it's all over the place, and they're afraid that as
Yeah.
soon as they reposition, they're gonna alienate them. How do you address that?
Yeah, I think it's like a necessary evil of the business. You can like business is a game of math, right? As long as incoming revenue outpace our outgoing expenses and stuff, like we win, we're good. It doesn't mean it's going to be fun in the process to do it. And I know most agencies, um, I guess here a simple math problem for everybody. So anytime I'm working with clients, we have these three circles that make like a fun little Venn diagram um, with the areas that I believe we always need to be optimizing for within the business. And so you have your audience, problem, and then the solution. When you bring those together, you're able to create a compelling offer, and that's what we put out in the world. And it's all rooted in our
Mhm,
positioning. But when you look at so like the audience, most agencies will have like 5 to 10 different audiences that they're trying to target. When we look at the problems, they have probably let's for simple math, let's say so we had five audiences, maybe three problems, and then when we go to solutions, we got 10. Right. So we're talking
mm,
150 different potential variations of what we
mm,
could be delivering to a client. Versus if we have one audience and we're solving one problem with one solution, it's like there's only one thing we do. Right. So now
mm,
everything in our business gets easier.
mm,
And so, which is why like niching down is more than just like, let's pick someone to go work with. It's like, yeah, our targeting gets way better because we get to speak directly to their problems. But now we're getting a crazy amount of reps on solving that one problem. And
mm,
so our team gets really good. Our the founder can step out of sales because someone else can actually come in and sell this because we only sell one thing, right? So it's
Mhm.
much easier to actually run this entire business.
Mm.
Now, if you already have a business that has 20 different industries, it's like, yeah, it's not reasonable to just to cut them all right away. The
Right.
beautiful thing about positioning is you're just deciding who you seek, not who you accept. You can
Mm.
still take on anyone who comes to you, right? It's just the you're putting out a message that's very targeted to a specific type of agency.
Mm. Mhm.
So like I generally work with like sub $1 million agencies. But I have had agencies with that are around 3 million in revenue come to me and say, "Hey, I'm struggling because of referrals. Can you help me?"
Mm.
It's like, "Yes, I 100% can because you have the exact problem that I solve for." And so rather than anchoring on like you're niching on like a specific like customer, we actually
Mhm.
anchor to that problem. And now that problem can go across industries and we still
Mm.
want to target a specific industry, but if I know this just like inherently, right, then
Mhm.
I could help multiple people with this same problem. And so you can start expanding from
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, makes sense. I imagine also if you're one of those legacy brands that does have 30 different industries or whatever, 20 different, you could still have a conversation with those decision makers one on one, or
Mhm.
at the very least, an email update that says, "Hey, just so you know, we're repositioning, but we are still working with you guys. We still want to work with you guys. We still have plenty of clients in that sector. It's just
Yeah.
that we have a stronghold on this niche and we're going to go all in on this. Just want to let you know." I think that can help that too. So it's not a surprise.
Yeah. I've also seen very few clients go check out the agency's website after they're already paying them.
That's
And so
true.
if like once they're in, they don't really check. And like they're
Yeah,
not
it's
right.
a
I
really
don't
good
know. It's
point.
it's never been a huge issue for any of my clients. And so
What do you
it's
think
been a
about the
worry.
idea? Yeah. What do you
So
think about
yeah.
the idea of spinning up a sub brand? I've seen that
Yeah.
before as well.
I would do that before just spreading out into like a bunch of like trying to have generalized marketing. The
Mm.
challenge though is that you will still be like spending fewer asset, like you have limited resources. And so now you're
Right.
going to try marketing across all of them. And that's generally one of the things that doesn't work out.
Yeah.
The It is often better to just to create a completely different brand. So you see this actually in all the positioning books by like Al Rice, Jack Trout, right? Like all of those.
Hmm.
Strongly recommend everybody read those. But like they bring up a lot of great examples of like in like soda companies and stuff where it's like Coke. I don't even know which brands are which, but like Coke wouldn't compete with Seven Up, right? They had to create Sprite and stuff like
Mm.
because you couldn't have Coke lemon or like
Mm.
whatever, right? Like it starts to
Yeah.
water it down. So when you have your agency brand and you just say this, but like manufacturing by agency,
Hmm.
it's going to hit way different than if you just had a new agency that you're putting out there and you're marketing that. You got a
Hmm.
team dedicated to it and they can just run with it. And
Right.
honestly, if you have that many, there's like holding company kind of like setups can work. Like, especially if you actually share leads. I think one of the
Mm.
challenges I see with most holding companies is that people get a lead and the idea was like, we're going to share based on like, I only do websites, you only do ads. And then they hold them and they try to do everything because they don't want to let go of that one lead. But if you
Mhm.
had this internal to your own business and you have a bunch of sub agencies, it's much easier to like kind of control
Mm.
that pipeline via the CRM. So,
Yeah. What do you think about over niching? Do you think that's actually a thing?
hmm. Yeah, I think it's gonna be real hard to get there. Um,
Mm.
I think so. Actually, I wrote a newsletter on this recently, where there's a difference between having no demand and then oversupply, and I think that's usually where we're running into. Where if you are getting that tight into a space, there's a good chance there's just nobody wants what you have, or the TAM
Mm.
is just so small that it's like if we use the 95/5 rule, saying only 5% of our market is currently looking to buy,
Mhm.
you might not, even if you closed 100% of that 5%, like you're making a couple 100,000 this year, right?
Yeah.
And so like it's not worth it. Um, Usually we see the problem on the other side of there's just way too much supply, and so it
Yep.
waters everything down. There's so many agencies now because anyone with a laptop is an agency, and
Mhm.
so now even if they're nowhere near as capable as you are,
Yeah.
It's still noise in the system, and so you got to be able to stand out from them somehow.
Right, right. Yeah, we've been talking about that internally as far as our positioning because, we've been around for a decade, and I think we work primarily with agencies, and the landscape has
Mhm.
changed over the past 10 years. I mean, I think there's like I heard recently there's 100,000 agencies in the United States, which is
Yeah.
just insane. I think that's probably like double what it was maybe 10 years ago.
Right.
And so we're now questioning, all right, is it enough to just say, hey, we work with agencies? Because there's two-man shops, there's, the large holding companies, and they're
Right.
all considered agencies. So it's forcing us to think about that. So maybe for us and the audience, what are some practical, maybe not without giving all the secrets away here, but
Mhm.
help us understand the practical process of going through that to really narrow in on the specific audience and define those specific problems that we're or they're best positioned to solve.
Yeah, so ideally, unless you're brand new, right? And as long as you've had some experience, then you probably got an idea of like who you like working with, right? Who is most profitable, who do you enjoy? That part gets left out a lot of like who do I actually
Who do you
enjoy
enjoy?
working with?
Yeah, yeah,
Like if you're gonna be at conferences with these people and on calls with them every day, like you should probably like them. Like just
yeah.
just saying. They need money. That one surprisingly comes up a lot where people
Mm,
want to a lot of people want to work with nonprofits and like it's great, like respect, but like they don't have a lot of money, right? And
yeah,
so,
yeah.
and that's fine.
Startups.
You just have to be able to factor it in. Yeah, small startups. I knew someone who wanted to do video, like podcast clipping, but for people's like personal podcasts. It's like, hang on, most
Mm,
podcasts don't make money. Period.
mhm,
Business podcasts don't. The only reason they're still going is because the business is fronting the bill as a marketing resource. It's like those people are not going to pay you $3,000 to show you their like hobby podcast for how they knit, right?
yeah.
Uh, so, anyways, um, once you kind of figure those out, right? Where are your best case studies from? Who are the ones who are giving you those testimonials that are just like glowing? Like, who are they?
Mm,
That's going to give you like the ability to really focus in.
mm,
From there, pick that industry, right? Like decide, okay, what general industry do I want to work in? Once you have that, I would go into a sub industry and get more specific. The If you use NAICS, so the North American Industry Classification System, it's full coding structure. You can just Google it. You'll find a website from the government or someone who you can go through and you see all these different codes. And when you find that core industry and you click into it, you're able to see all of the sub industries that you could work with.
mm,
And so, say you are going into manufacturing, right? You could then break it into textile manufacturing, paper manufacture, right? There's so many
mm,
sub industries,
mm.
and what's important there is like most no one in the textile manufacturing industry is getting called out on like LinkedIn, right? Probably
No,
because
no,
they're
no.
not there. But like, right when you see like, hey, textile manufacturers, that's way more specific than hey, manufacturers,
Yeah.
and so it gets them to stop just a little more for our targeting. Um, from there, I would then go into like the Bureau of Labor Statistics website and just use that NAICS code to find that industry and just, is it growing or shrinking? Like what's actually
Mm,
happening to that space? Are they hiring?
mm.
Um, like what's happening? Because if we can tell now that over the past 10 years they've been shrinking, like let's not even bother picking that one now. Um, so that's the vertical. Then I would choose a horizontal, and I define it a little different. I base it off job function, and so it could be the CMO, CFO, but like who are we targeting within this industry, so that we can then get more specific on everything else.
Mm,
The This gives you kind of like a little safety net almost, where say I do work with CMOs and I get really tight with CMOs in this specific industry, say that industry does start shrinking or it flops, right? I have a bunch of CMO contacts and I understand the way that they're thinking in a way that I can just follow them into whatever space they move next. And
mm.
so it gives you a little bit of like, I don't know, a safety net. I don't know another way to put that, to just like, you can
Yeah.
shift much easier. You can pivot if necessary because the
Mm,
space crumbles.
mhm,
But so where your vertical and horizontal like intersect, you have a problem set, right? That these people in this industry have these problems. And
mm,
you get to just look through all those problems and decide for yourself, like, which one am I the best fit to solve?
mm.
And when you know that, then now it's like, okay, we have that. We can actually build a solution to that, which I guess, yeah, we can go in so many places with this. Just tell me when to stop.
No,
But
this is great. I'm like, keep going. Yeah.
the idea behind the solution is like most agencies sell services, right? You
Okay.
go to the website and it just lists everything that they could do for someone. Someone shows up, they say, well, I need this, this, this. And then
Right.
you try to sell them. But that invites comparison, right? Where if I go to your site, I see you offer these 5 services, I'm
Yeah.
going to go shop around, find someone else who can do it for less for those same
Hmm.
5. Compared to, hey, I have this problem. I've shown up on your website because something said you had the solution. Now I'm
Mm.
looking at your solution that no one else is talking about like this process,
Mm.
right? Where um like a simple example is say we do like a website and then we do some marketing on the back end to that site. If I were to just sell that individually, it's like, hey, we do websites, we do ads, we do SEO. Say it
Mhm.
looks kind of disconnected. But if I turn that into a system where I say, hey, first we're going to build your website because we need somewhere to push all of the traffic to. Once
Mm.
we have that site up, we're likely going to start with probably 80% of your budget on ads, 20% on SEO because the SEO is going to take a lot longer, but we need to start it now. We're going
Mm.
to focus on the ads. And then over time, these will start to balance out until
Mhm.
ideally we're just running 80 to 100% SEO because like the cost of ads always goes up, right? And
Yeah.
we're losing money. But anyways, so like you create a system like that, and now it's a completely different story. Nobody's
Mm.
coming in saying, well, I just need SEO. They're coming in saying, I need exactly what you have because my problem is what you just said you can solve. And
Mm.
so we're just kind
Mhm.
of shifting that conversation.
Mm.
But so we figure out the niche through all of that, nail down your positioning, like how do you want to show up? And that includes the messaging on the site, everything else that we've already discussed, and then we build out the offer, and that includes your solution, right? Like we actually there's so many little things we could get into there if you want to, but we build out this core offer for you that's really based around recurring revenue, to make sure you got that, and then you
Mhm.
can have a different piece I call a bridge offer where we just like pull out a chunk that we would normally do and we just sell that as a like a single kind of project or something.
Mm.
Um, push them in, and then it's just all about our go to market strategy and just
Mm.
all right, we know who we're targeting, we know how we want to be seen, and we know what we have to sell. It's like let's just find what path do we want to take together.
Hmm. Yeah, it's probably the most practical, succinct explanation I've heard as far as the process to identify a niche.
Awesome. I felt like I
Appreciate that.
rambled.
No, it was good. It was great. Um,
Nice.
yeah, if you rambled, I'd love to hear what you got on a good day. I mean, here's an idea I'm thinking about.
Yep.
Or for us, and I'm selfish here, right? So I got to bring it back to
Yeah.
me.
Do it.
White Rabbit Group, I've explained our model before. We have the account manager or technical PM that's sort of an extension of their team.
Mhm.
We've thought about branding that, making it sort of a proprietary thing, maybe calling it like the outcome owner delivery model. Terrible name, but starting point.
Yeah. I'm with you. All right. All right.
But something like there where it sort of differentiates us, because I liked what you were saying about
Mhm.
not just listing your services, but listing like maybe the outcome. I don't know if you use that word, but some
Yeah.
sort of solution there, right? With the
Yeah.
phrasing and positioning.
Yeah. So with positioning, so we want to be different for to be distinct, right? But there has to be a purpose behind everything that we're doing, right? We need intent.
Yep.
I'll give you a link after this to one of those massive articles that I wrote earlier this year, but it's all about differentiation
Yeah.
and this is where it could be helpful for you. I don't know that they're gone are the days of like being the only agency to do something where like it used to be I am the only agency in manufacturing. I'm the only agency for roofers. But like
Yep.
now someone comes in tomorrow and they're like, I work with roofers. And it's like, okay,
Mm.
well, now you're not the only one, right? So we can fight that by getting a little more specific with that sub vertical. But even that, it's only a matter of time.
Hmm.
But so what I recommend is I got like 11 different kind of variables that you can use to anchor to. And actually, I just pull up, make sure I got the right one. So like your market focus is one, right? Like who do we want to work with? Your problem ownership, your economic model, like your risk reversal. You could just have a crazy good guarantee. Like that's a way to differentiate.
Mm.
It could even just be like relationships. Like if I tell you by working with me, I can call Tony Robbins on the phone, get your agency on stage like tomorrow, right? Like that's a reason you would hire me.
Mm.
And so we got 11 of these different things. And when you look at all of them, there's probably something you could contribute to each one. But some of them are going to be weak, some will be stronger. If we can find the ones that you're in like the top 20%, right? Like you're just you're not perfect, but you're at least in that top bracket. And then we stack all of those. So if you have
Mm,
4 or 5 where you're in the top 20%, now you actually have something defensible because nobody can just show up and copy all 5 of those tomorrow,
mm,
right? It's much harder. And so now you actually have something that you can go to market with and
mm,
create like your value prop around that to say,
mm,
hey, if you care about X, Y, and Z, we are the agency for you. And it
mm,
shows up in all of your content. And
mm,
so like for your stuff, yeah, 100%. I think your model for having so one, I would nail down like the specific problem that people are having with like not being able to find outsourced help, right, for their websites. Like that's I would give it a name. Anytime you can name a problem, it means you probably have the solution. It's the Rumpelstiltskin effect.
mm,
And so anytime you can name something, give it a name. People will believe you have the solution.
mm,
But
mhm,
yeah, figure that out. And then I would do a couple like one, having an operational constraint within that, saying like, we will not do this stuff. Whereas everyone else is probably going to do that. We're not. We only focus on this because that's really what we know you need.
mm,
And so it's like little things like that. Keep stacking these. And then I would go to market with that idea.
mhm. Yeah, it's great feedback. Okay, I want to hammer this home, kind of the final stretch
Yeah.
because we've talked a lot about the strategy here of positioning and why to do it, and we've talked about the practical side of how to do it. I want to also talk about something that doesn't get talked about enough, which is all these secondary and tertiary effects, consequences of picking a niche and positioning. It
Mhm.
trickles down. You've touched on this throughout the whole organization, I think, in so many beneficial ways. Can you tell us about some of those in terms of protecting margins, helping it, serve as like a decision filter, all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So the first big one is like just purely like niching makes everything in your life easier, right? Going back to the 111 principle, but it's just like if you know exactly who you can target, where they are, like what to say to them because you're just so specific and all of that, and then when they show up, you're just in like rinse and repeat mode for delivery.
Mhm.
Uh, Everything like all your profit margins are better, right? Everyone's happier. It's easier. Again, your founder is able to actually step away from sales, which most agencies struggle with.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about even selling your agency, like the one that's like someone could actually step in and just understand the business model,
Mm,
like it's probably going to go way further in like a sale than the one that's got like 20 different clients. Like I don't know where the next one's coming from, right? Like we
mm,
just got to do things. That's huge. The being able to like unite your team around like those values within your positioning and I should probably specify like most agency values that I see and like no not throwing shade to anyone listening who's doing this but like if your values are integrity and honesty and like things like that just get rid of them, right? Because no one would ever say the opposite, right? There's no business that's going to be like actually we prefer being dishonest.
mhm,
It's like no, because I wouldn't do business with you. And so those are assumed values, right? That just good people have. And so you should actually pick something so that you can see how it shows up in the day to day. So like one of my company values, no martyrs, no kings. And so like I do not want someone on the team to ever be sacrificing themselves for the good of everybody else. If we're at that point, it means we screwed something up and didn't plan well enough in advance. The no kings part is like anyone can have a great idea. There is no one person ruling this. If you have a good idea, speak up. You have a responsibility to do it. So now that's a value that I hold, and everyone on my team should be able to live those values as well, right? They all
mm,
know how it pops up in the day to day. Like we
mhm,
play positive sum games. It's another one. I refuse to do something where there is like a demonstrable loser in this. I will do content with my competitors. I will like I have my own podcast. I bring on like all of my competitors have been on the show.
mm,
I run an event twice a year, and I bring them into that.
mm,
And it's just like I don't want to think about business that way. I just want to see how many people can I bring up with me.
mm,
And
mhm,
so these are values that
mhm,
actually show up. But when you anchor your positioning around those values, now your team, like one, they know how each other's going to engage in different situations. They know what if they're going to bring you a problem, they probably know how you're going to answer, right? Like
mhm,
they have this idea because you've built it into the system.
mhm,
Seth Godin's what's his like his definition for culture is people like us do things like this, And I really like that one because culture is like a standard that you set within your organization.
Mm,
And when you have strong values and really the strong positioning, it's much easier to maintain that standard because everyone on the team understands it. So when someone comes in and they don't fit the mold, it's much
mhm,
easier to say like, "Hey, one of these is not like the other."
mm,
Um, so and then decisions are faster. Just period. Like you're not waiting and deliberating. Like if you like going back to the Zappos example, right? They can just say, "Well, which one provides the best customer satisfaction?" And, like,
right.
that's the answer. And there are going to be some questions where they're still on the fence and they don't know, but those are gonna be, 20% of the questions instead of the 80% that they were able to just say, "No, here's the right answer based off how we wanna show up."
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so,
it's good feedback.
yeah,
I was gonna end it there, but I have one more question.
sure.
Which again, this is something that I've heard come up with an agency that I know when they were considering niching down to a specific industry, and they're concerned about their team being bored with the
Yeah.
same problem. So, how do you think
Mhm.
about that?
So, yeah, I literally thought of that when I was just talking, like, "Oh, I'm
Uh,
surprised that question hasn't come up."
yeah.
'Cause it does come up a lot. It's one of the biggest concerns, for the when it comes to the team.
Mm,
Usually the team doesn't care about anything else except, am I gonna be bored at work?
mhm,
Um, I think it's a necessary evil, like, for this again, but same time, like, if your team is just bored because they're doing like solving this one problem, what else could you be doing? Like, you can give people marketing tasks, right? Like, they can work internal. They don't have to just be doing the same monotonous task every day.
mm,
Like, if you're solving a hard enough problem, just solving that problem will be fun enough for them. And so my guess is the people who are actually worried about that, it's because they're doing just very like generic work. They're not doing something that requires that deeper level of thinking and strategy. And when
mm,
you actually anchor to like a specific problem for your niche, now like you can go way deeper because you're getting those reps in. You're seeing the patterns, which doesn't mean we're just going to get bored faster. It means you're going to be able to these challenges that other people are going to be stuck on. You're blowing past and spending more of your time doing these deeper level thoughts on
mm,
everything, right? And like actually trying to get creative with it, doing the things that actually move the needle and get people
mm.
excited to show up to work.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. Okay, one more bonus question. What are you
Bonus.
thinking about right now? We've talked a lot about positioning. I feel like we've covered it, but my question is, what are you thinking about
Ooh.
right now that you feel like the folks that are listening should probably hear that maybe is not being talked about enough?
Hmm. Um, okay. Well, the thing on my mind because it's on another computer screen for me is like AI right now. Um, Not in a like, "Oh no, everybody panic" type way, but in a, "Hey, everyone, guys should probably be thinking about using this correctly." Which just in the agencies that I've talked to, like it's few and far between who's actually using this.
Mm,
Almost everyone is trying to outsource their actual thinking and not just knocking out these like menial tasks, like the stuff that doesn't matter that are just like you have to do it. It's in standing in the way of doing that like high value creative work. You
mhm,
can automate almost all of that away. And so the thing I would do if I was every agency right now is put a post-it note on your desk, and anytime you would use the word every, write down whatever task that is. And so it's like every time we onboard a client, right? Write that down. Every time we join a meeting with our client, every time we send a report, every time we write a blog post, right? Every landing page that goes live. If you are doing it every single time, that means you can map out all of the variables required for this one task, and we can create a system around it so you don't
mm,
have to do it anymore. It's
mm,
those tasks that change every single time. Like
mhm,
those are the ones I want you working on because we're going to have the most bang for our buck, right? And it's
mhm.
actually hopefully why you were hired was like for that thinking and the expertise that comes along with it. And so
Yeah,
that's a huge one. And yeah, there are plenty of tools out there now to be able to just build this for yourself and create your own system to
it's
yeah,
amazing.
stay on
It's
top.
amazing. I've been obsessed lately with clay.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Like
Yeah.
I check out I basically have a list now of like 30,000 agencies. And then I have this AI enrichment that then qualifies them. It looks and sees how's
Yeah.
their positioning and then labels them or their branding agency, marketing agency. And then it
Right.
tells me how many developers they have. All this stuff it does for me. And it just saves so much time. That's just a kind of a
Yeah.
personal thing that yeah, you're right.
Right.
Lean into it.
No, I built out, I call him my chief of stuff with Claude Code. Because my friend made it a chief of staff, and I'm like, yeah, but it's not managing people, so stuff.
Yeah,
But this thing is saving me probably 8-ish hours a week now with just
really.
it preps client meetings. It when a client meeting finishes, it
Yeah.
will capture all the notes, send them to Slack.
Hmm.
If I at any point in a meeting say use the words like we need to test this messaging, or
Hmm.
let's create some content around that, it will create content and add it to
Hmm.
those meeting notes just automatically. So now my client
Hmm.
doesn't have to start with like a blank page. They have the
Yeah.
80% solution and can tweak from there and go live. And so it's just tons of little things like that. It's just like we're
Yeah.
continuously enriching everything.
I love it. I was just talking to my buddy who works at ClickUp, senior
Yep.
content manager over there, worked there for 6 years. He just used their super agent, which is like their new feature,
Mhm.
and it saves him 20 hours a week.
Boom.
They're making a case study about
So,
it on their website. It's
yeah,
just, I mean, it really is
man.
crazy. I can't agree with you more. I think the biggest challenge is carving out time, because we're so
Mhm.
busy on our
Yeah.
businesses, but we gotta look at it.
Yep. Yeah, I'm a little embarrassed with how much time I spent playing with
Yeah.
Claude Code lately. Actually, even Claude Code, I was working through a challenge with it for my business, and it was like,
Yeah.
well, maybe if you spend less time on Claude Code, it
Talking to
has
me.
access to my time tracking and everything. So it called me out, and I was like,
That's
ooh,
funny.
all right, the robots are coming.
That's funny. All right, love it. Well,
But
this is a
yeah,
fun conversation and super
yeah,
insightful. Tell the audience where they can find you and follow along.
sure. Dynamicagencyos.com is where you can find everything about me. And if you want to connect, LinkedIn is the place.
Awesome. Thanks again, Chris.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Pixel Perfect podcast, where we go down the rabbit hole on the journey and motivations of creatives and entrepreneurs. Stay tuned for more stories to come. Until next time.